The Bible, as a repository of human history and its multifaceted characters, offers a rich tapestry of narratives that delve into the depths of the human psyche. Today, we delve into the stories of Rebecca, Jacob, Rachel, and Laban, exploring the narcissistic traits that surface in their actions and decisions. The Bible, in its wisdom, offers us a profound reflection on human behavior, including narcissism. We find a poignant reference in 2 Timothy 3:2, which warns about the perils of self-love, covetousness, and pride. These traits, inherent to narcissism, are not foreign to our biblical figures. First, we encounter Rebecca, a character of complexity and ambition. Her story unfolds in the book of Genesis, where she emerges not just as a mother, but also as a manipulator, driven by a desire to secure her favored son, Jacob's future. Rebecca's actions reveal an insatiable need for admiration and a sense of entitlement, hallmarks of narcissism. Next, we meet Jacob, Rebecca's pawn, who willingly plays the part his mother assigns him. His actions underscore the cycle of narcissism within families, as well as an underlying need for approval and personal gain. Then there's Rachel, Jacob's beloved wife. Her story brings to light yet another facet of narcissism: sibling rivalry and the desire for validation. Rachel's actions not only expose her own narcissistic traits, but also contribute to a toxic environment within the family. Finally, we meet Laban, Rachel, and Leah's father. His deceitful actions reveal a lack of empathy and an insatiable desire for personal gain, further illustrating how narcissism can poison relationships and disrupt family structures. As we delve deeper into the stories of these biblical characters, we unravel the complexities of narcissism within the context of family dynamics. Each narrative offers us a unique lens through which we can better understand the multifaceted nature of narcissism. So let us begin this exploration with the intriguing story of Rebecca. Rebecca's story in Genesis reveals fascinating insights into human ambition and manipulation. Introduced as a determined and ambitious woman, she becomes a key player in the unfolding narrative of narcissism within her family. Her actions, driven by a desire for power and control, lay bare the narcissistic traits that shape her character and influence her decisions. Rebecca's most notable act of manipulation occurs when she orchestrates the theft of her husband Isaac's blessing, originally intended for their older son Esau. This act alone illuminates her need for admiration and her sense of entitlement, two key characteristics of narcissism. By instructing Jacob to deceive his father, Rebecca demonstrates a willingness to cross moral boundaries to secure what she believes is rightfully hers. Her manipulation of Jacob, her favored son, is particularly revealing. When she says, "Upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice," Genesis 27:13, we see a mother who is willing to bear the consequences of her actions, so long as her ambitions are realized. This manipulation not only showcases her narcissistic traits, but also sets in motion a cycle of narcissism that will continue to ripple through her family. Rebecca's actions are not just about securing a blessing for Jacob. They are about ensuring her own desires and ambitions are met, regardless of the cost to those around her. This need for power and control, even at the expense of her family's harmony, underscores the depth of her narcissistic tendencies. Her manipulative behavior also reveals a troubling lack of empathy, another hallmark of narcissism. By deceiving Isaac and pitting her sons against each other, Rebecca disregards the feelings and well-being of her loved ones. This disregard for others in the pursuit of her own goals further illustrates her narcissistic traits. Rebecca's story serves as a stark reminder of the destructive power of narcissism. It shows us how one person's ambition and manipulation can disrupt the lives of those around them and set in motion a cycle of narcissistic behavior. Rebecca's actions lay the foundation for a cycle of narcissism in her family, as we observe in the story of her son Jacob. Jacob, Rebecca's favored son, becomes an active participant in his mother's manipulative schemes. Jacob, the second-born of Rebecca's twin sons, is a key figure in this exploration of narcissism. His story is one of willing participation in deceit and manipulation, driven by a need for approval and personal gain. Jacob's complicity in his mother's scheme to steal his father Isaac's blessing is a clear demonstration of his narcissistic tendencies. His willingness to deceive his aging father, to impersonate his brother Esau, reveals a deep-seated need for recognition and affirmation, even at the expense of familial bonds. In this, we see the essence of narcissism, an overwhelming desire to be admired, to be chosen, to be the best, regardless of the cost. Jacob's actions are not merely those of a dutiful son following his mother's instructions. They are the actions of a man who craves validation and is willing to deceive to achieve it. This craving for validation is not an isolated trait in Jacob. It's a characteristic that reflects on a larger picture of narcissistic behavior. It mirrors the scripture in Proverbs 27:19, which says, "As in water face answereth to face, so the heart of man to man." Like a reflection in the water, Jacob's narcissism mirrors that of his mother, Rebekah. Jacob's actions set in motion a cycle of deceit and manipulation that echoes through the generations of his family. He becomes a narcissistic pawn, furthering his mother's ambitions and setting the stage for the narcissistic behaviors of his future wife, Rachel. In this light, Jacob's story is a cautionary tale. It highlights the dangers of narcissism, of the unquenchable thirst for recognition and approval. It exposes the destructive power of these traits when they are allowed to dictate one's actions. But more importantly, it serves as a stark reminder of the ripple effect of such behavior, of how it can seep into the fabric of family dynamics, influencing and shaping behaviors. Jacob's story highlights the perpetuation of narcissism within families, a theme continued in the story of his wife, Rachel. Rachel, Jacob's beloved wife, showcases a different facet of narcissism, sibling rivalry, and the desire for validation. This aspect of narcissism is particularly visible in her interactions with her sister Leah, especially when it comes to their shared husband, Jacob. Rachel's narcissistic traits surface in her pursuit of mandrakes, a plant believed to have aphrodisiac properties and the power to enhance fertility. In her desperate desire to bear children, Rachel strikes a deal with Leah, trading her night with Jacob for the coveted mandrakes. This seemingly simple exchange underscores Rachel's deep-seated need for recognition and supremacy. She is willing to barter her husband's affection, a clear testament to her narcissistic tendencies. This act, however, does more than just highlight Rachel's narcissistic traits. It also serves to intensify the sibling rivalry between Rachel and Leah. The sisters, bound by marriage to the same man, are locked in a bitter competition for Jacob's affections. Rachel's actions, driven by her narcissistic need for validation, only serve to fan the flames of this rivalry, creating a toxic environment within the family. The scripture reference James 3:16 sheds light on this dynamic, stating, "For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work." The envy and strife between Rachel and Leah, fueled by Rachel's narcissism, indeed bring confusion and discord into their family life. This scripture is a poignant reminder of the destructive power of narcissism, particularly when it manifests within the confines of family relationships. Rachel's actions, driven by her narcissistic desire for validation, recognition, and supremacy, add another layer to the intricate tapestry of narcissistic traits within this biblical family. These traits, however, do not exist in isolation. They interact and intertwine with the narcissistic behaviors of other family members, creating a complex web of manipulation, deceit, and rivalry. Rachel's narcissistic traits add to the family's complex dynamics, a pattern evident in the actions of her father, Laban. This statement sets the stage for our next exploration, a deep dive into the deceitful patriarch, Laban, and his contribution to this tangled web of narcissistic family dynamics. Laban's story unfolds as a poignant illustration of narcissism's disruptive influence on family structures. He steps onto the stage of biblical narratives as the father of Rachel and Leah, and soon becomes a character of significant interest due to his cunning and deceit. Laban's narcissistic traits reveal themselves in his manipulative dealings with Jacob. In a plot that reeks of cunning, Laban deceives Jacob on his wedding night, substituting Leah for Rachel. This act of deceit is not merely a ploy to hoodwink Jacob, but rather a calculated move to keep Jacob in servitude for his own personal gain. Laban's lack of empathy towards his daughters and son-in-law is a stark reflection of his narcissistic tendencies. His actions underline a critical aspect of narcissism, the insatiable desire for personal gain, even at the expense of others' happiness. Laban, in his pursuit of wealth and power, crafts an intricate web of deceit and manipulation. He disrupts the lives of his daughters, using them as pawns in his grand scheme, and ensnares Jacob in a cycle of servitude, all for his own benefit. But the effects of Laban's actions extend beyond his immediate family. they ripple through the family structure, creating an environment fraught with tension and mistrust. His daughters, Rachel and Leah, are left in the throes of a bitter rivalry, while Jacob is left grappling with the consequences of Laban's deceit. Laban's story is a sobering reflection on the effects of narcissism. His pursuit of wealth and power, devoid of empathy and consideration for others, perpetuates a cycle of manipulation within the family. His actions serve as a stark reminder of how narcissism can poison relationships and disrupt family structures, offering invaluable insights into the human psyche and the complexities of family dynamics. Laban's pursuit of wealth and power perpetuates the cycle of manipulation within the family, offering a sobering reflection on the effects of narcissism. As we reflect on these stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the complexities of narcissism within family dynamics. We've journeyed through the lives of Rebecca, Jacob, Rachel, and Laban, each illustrating different aspects of narcissism. Rebecca, the ambitious matriarch, displayed narcissistic traits through her manipulative control over her son Jacob. Her actions, rooted in her desire for power and control, disrupted the familial harmony and set the stage for a cycle of narcissism in her family. Jacob, Rebecca's favored son, became a pawn in this cycle. His willingness to deceive his father at his mother's behest revealed his underlying need for approval and personal gain. His story underscores how narcissism can perpetuate within families, passed on from one generation to the next. Rachel, Jacob's beloved wife, presented another facet of narcissism through sibling rivalry. Her desire for validation and supremacy led her to orchestrate a cunning plan against her sister Leah. Rachel's actions not only exposed her own narcissistic tendencies, but also contributed to a toxic environment within the family. Finally, Laban, the patriarch, showcased narcissism through deceit. His lack of empathy and desire for personal gain led him to deceive Jacob, disrupting the lives of his daughters and son-in-law. His story is a poignant example of how narcissism can poison entire family structures. Through these biblical narratives, we see how narcissism, characterized by an insatiable need for admiration, entitlement, and a lack of empathy, can significantly impact family dynamics. These stories serve as a mirror to our own lives, reflecting the potential consequences of narcissistic behavior. In understanding these biblical characters and their narcissistic traits, we gain valuable insights into the human condition, offering lessons for our own lives. Remember Proverbs 6:16, 19, and let wisdom guide your actions. By recognizing and understanding these traits, we can strive to foster healthier relationships, break destructive cycles, and cultivate empathy and understanding in our own lives.